Hello everyone, today, let's dive into an incredibly profound ancient story. The lesson behind it is quite challenging for our modern lives. It's a story about how to sell your poverty and suffering. To start, let me pose a question. If poverty could truly be sold like a commodity, who on earth would buy it? Let's keep that question in mind as we journey into today's narrative. The story of selling poverty. The story begins in ancient India, in a kingdom called Avanti. There lived a wise and highly respected spiritual practitioner named Venerable. He encountered a person who was completely overwhelmed by suffering. Can you imagine the scene? An old woman, poor and aged, weeping by the river. Her life was utterly miserable. She had endless hard labor, and her cruel master constantly abused her. She was in a state of complete despair. It was at her lowest point that the Venerable One approached her and spoke a sentence that must have sounded completely outlandish to her. The Venerable asked, "Since you are in so much pain, why don't you sell your poverty?" Sell poverty? How could that possibly be? The unbelievable transaction given as the key. Let's look at how this seemingly ridiculous transaction unfolded. The first step was a simple, transformative action. The Venerable's first instruction was simple. He told the old woman to practice deed generosity, giving. The old woman thought, "I'm so poor, I have nothing." But the Venerable told her, "Don't you have that old water pot? Use it to fetch a pot of clean water and make an offering to me." This small act of offering water was the key that unlocked the door. Because of this tiny gesture of giving, her mind was finally able to be receptive to the true teaching that followed. The 4 steps to inner transformation. The real path that followed was one of complete internal transformation, a path of 4 steps that had nothing to do with external actions, but everything to do with a complete change of mindset. The result, it was astonishing. She followed the Venerable's instructions, and by completely letting go and fully accepting her situation, her mind became pure. That very night, she passed away peacefully and was reborn in a heavenly realm to see the heaven, becoming a celestial being. Her faith was completely transformed. The challenge, why we get stuck. Hearing this, you might wonder, if the method is so miraculous, why do we often feel stuck in our own spiritual practice, unable to achieve such results? This brings us to the core of the Master's commentary. Our slow progress is because we haven't suffered enough, because we haven't reached the point of utter suffering. Our minds are not yet truly honest. We lack that 100% genuine sincerity that springs from the deepest despair. Look at the contrast. The old woman was at the extreme limit of her suffering. She had absolutely nothing left to rely on, forcing her into 100% surrender. We, on the other hand, still have blessings, good karma, to consume. We have many things we can still cling to. Our minds are always calculating. The Master said the problem is that we are holding on to too much. We have too many self-made safety nets. Our money, our power, our family and friends, our own cleverness, and even our remaining good fortune to burn through. These things we cling to are precisely what prevent us from generating that most profound and genuine sincerity, the physical karma and liberation. To understand this, the Venerable used a beautiful analogy to explain the mechanical karma and liberation. Water has no preference for sinking or floating. Whether a thing sinks or floats depends entirely on its own weight. This physical karma works like this. Negative mental states like greed, anger, and ignorance are like heavy stones that weigh down our mind, causing us to continually sink. Conversely, positive qualities like generosity, reverence, and purity make the mind very light, allowing us to naturally ascend. The beer of poverty, the ultimate compassion. This brings us to the answer to the question we started with. If the old woman truly sold her poverty, who would it? The Master's answer is one that many might not expect, yet it is incredibly profound. The buyers of poverty are the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. What does it mean to buy poverty? It represents the ultimate, egoless compassion. It means that Bodhisattvas are willing to use the merit and blessings they have cultivated to exchange for the suffering and poverty as sentient beings. They intentionally put themselves at a disadvantage and take on suffering for the sole purpose of helping us achieve liberation. The Master explained that this is what Buddhists and Bodhisattvas specialize in, practicing being at a disadvantage taking loss. Because they are willing to take the loss, beings like us can gain the benefit. True spiritual practice isn't about how much you can gain for yourself, but about how much you are willing to give to others. A final question for reflection. Ultimately, this entire story circles back to us, asking one crucial question. In all the efforts we make, whether in spiritual practice or in daily life, is our starting point to gain more for ourselves, or is it to learn how to give? This question might just be the one that guides us to reevaluate the direction of our lives.